Hey, I'm Brie, and this is my sister Jules. I'm an English teacher.
And I have a sore throat.
And together we drink wine as we unpack the brilliant writing of the hit 90s sitcom, Boy Meets World. Cheers. Let's taste our wine today. What are we drinking?
Decoy, Cabernet Sauvignon, classic. One of my faves.
So we've done Decoy before, but we did Sauvignon Blanc. So we're back to Decoy, and we're doing Cab Sauv.
Mm-hmm.
Now, full disclosure, folks, I made a terrible mistake, and I accidentally bought Josh again because I knew we were going to repeat one, but I messed up on the one that we were going to repeat. So I got the Josh, which we already did. I got the Josh Cabernet Sauvignon, which we've already done. So no need to, and it's good. I like it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just go ahead and describe this one because we haven't done this one before. The Cabernet Sauvignon by Decoy showcases a rich blackberry and blueberry aromas with hints of baking spice and black pepper. The blueberry definitely comes through. And I have to say, for a cheaper wine, this one goes for about $20. It's a fantastic wine to just sip on or have it with a nice steak dinner or stew. It is just cozy and hearty.
Any weird descriptors?
I don't have your brain. I come up short. It's a really good wine.
I'm enjoying my Josh. More full disclosure. Complete disclosure. I had a very difficult day at work. And we were going to do Cavit. Was that the one we were going to do?
Yeah.
But I kind of anticipated that it wouldn't be very good. Sorry, Cavit. And I was like, I need a wine that's good. I need one that I know is going to be good.
Reliable.
I need it all reliable. So I was like, let's do Decoy, but the red, because we did the white, because I knew it was going to be good. And then I messed up and I got the Josh. But I'm still happy because it's a good wine. And I needed a good glass of wine tonight. I didn't want one that I was going to have 2 sips of and be like, nah, it tastes like Halloween. I want to enjoy it. All right, let's get into the episode. We watched season 1, episode 19. Kid Gloves. Synopsis: Corey loses an important gift from his dad. By the way, I wrote that synopsis because I didn't like the one they gave us. Air date: March 25th, 1994. It's written by Jeff Manel, who also wrote The B Team of Life. It was directed by David Traynor. There were 20.1 million viewers. What were your first impressions?
This was a weird one. This was weird. And it also felt really short.
Yeah, it did. I agree with that.
Yeah. What did you think?
I liked the camera work in this one. I kind of liked that moment when we were going along the bottom of the pool and searching for items. The kid in me was like, ooh, what's he going to find? And then when he found the key, I was like, ooh, I wanted to play a video game and pick it up and open something later with it.
like Freddy Fish.
Like Freddy Fish. Oh my God. What a throwback. Yeah, no, and then when he comes out of the pool and he's looking up at Feeney and Feeney's looking down. I liked that perspective. I don't know. I thought it was.
I mean, you're a swim coach. I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, but sorry, that's not actually my first impression. It was in this moment for some reason the first thing I thought of, but my first impression was ew. The whole scene where they take off their robes. I was like, no,
I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, same.
And I get it that kids are like that at that age, they're checking each other out. That's a thing. But it's weird for the audience to react to kids getting naked. I was uncomfortable by that.
So uncomfortable. Yep. Totally agree. Especially Topanga, but honestly, all of them, it was weird.
It was weird.
And a little part of me was like, okay, thanks for throwing that at us, when Topanga was like, it's not very evolved to ridicule the human form. Each of our bodies is the master creation of Mother Nature. And when she said that, I was like, all right, because it put me in a space of thinking about them as they're human beings and their bodies, and fine, I shouldn't be ick just because they're humans with bodies. But then it was fully the audience reaction that was ick for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly it.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
So the way the episode opens up, we're in the classroom and Feeney's reading off all of the possible extracurricular activities that the kids can choose from. And he offers up the scuba suggestion. He suggests scuba. Feeney says, so can anyone tell me what scuba stands for? And he calls on Sean And he's like, Mr. Hunter, you haven't spoken since the 4th grade. SCUBA. What does it stand for? And Sean goes, something's creepy under boat Andy?
At least he tried.
Feeney's like, Mr. Matthews was closer with Duba. Very well. Take it away, Minkus. And Minkus like decides to protest in this moment. He's like, no. Feeney's like, I beg your pardon. And Minkus is like, I don't want to know everything. I want to fit in. I want to be one of the normal stupid guys. I'm going with Duba. Feeney's like, all right, Mr. Minkus obviously does not know. And it takes Minkus 3 seconds before he's like, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Feeney's like, thank you.
Did you know the acronym?
I did. Did you know the acronym?
No. In fact, I knew it so little that I didn't realize that they were saying
an acronym.
SCUBA is an acronym. I thought it was like code for some like chess club. And then I was like, oh, you're actually talking about scuba diving. I thought scuba diving was just scuba diving. Like diving isn't an acronym. Scuba is not an acronym.
That's hilarious. Why would you think it'd be called scuba?
I don't know.
Fair. You know what? Fair.
You scoob underwater.
You scuba. Anyway, we get the theme, we get the theme music. And then after the theme song, we have Eric and Corey sleeping in their bedroom in their separate twin beds next to each other. Alan sneaks in and drops a box on Corey's forehead and leaves. Corey is asleep, though. He doesn't wake up, and Eric wakes up and sees the box, and he's like, hey, Corey, you got a box on your face. Hey, get up. Somebody just put a box on your face. And then he gets a megaphone, and he says to Corey, Corey, don't wake up. There's no box on your face. Corey's like, of course he wakes up. Huh, you lie. There is a box on my face. And turns out that Corey's dad has given him his silver boxing gloves from the Navy. Did you know what that was?
No.
Okay. Me neither. I didn't know what that was.
Is that a thing?
I have heard of this. Okay, let me Google because I thought I don't know if it's from this show that I've heard of it, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So, yeah, it's a thing.
So is that just a Navy thing, or is that like a boxing thing? Where if you win or if you get silver, you get these silver gloves?
I keep saying it's a thing, but then I'm like, I don't know. Is it? Golden Gloves of America is an organization that promotes annual competitions of amateur boxing in the United States, in which winners are awarded a belt and a ring and the title of national champion. Huh. Alan has given Corey a pair of silver gloves that he won in the Navy. So it means that Corey's dad came in second in his weight class in the entire Navy for boxing, which is like a silver medal, essentially. And if you think about the Navy, like that is a group of some of the strongest men in the country already. And then the boxing that's going on amongst those men already in a, high intensity environment where there's a lot of pushing themselves to their limits. Like that's a pretty humongous deal that Alan was, second in the entire Navy. That's huge. So he gives Corey the gloves. And I feel like this is a bit of a throwback to something we talked about earlier in the season about how Eric and Corey and kind of Alan and the boys as well sometimes fall into, and it's more so between Corey and Eric, but fall into not being super communicative with each other, right? Or not just stating the thing outright. So I felt like it was very classic dad to be like, I'm gonna give you a really important present, but I'm not gonna explain it or tell you anything about it.
And I'm not even you're not gonna be conscious when I give it to you.
Yeah,
you're right. It was very in line with the three of them.
Yeah. And realistic, I think, for unfortunately a lot of father-son relationships where maybe there isn't a lot of clear communication happening, where we unpack our feelings and express the importance of things in our lives. So anyway, Corey, opens up the gift and just isn't really into it because he doesn't understand that they're important. He's like, cool, I got a necklace, And Eric's like, you got to act grateful. And he's like, you got to wear this sucker. And Corey's like, for how long? And Eric's like, well, Dad's still a relatively young man. And Corey's like, what am I going to do? And Eric says, I'd say your only way out of this one is to get married, have kids, and pass it on. We're in the kitchen, and Amy explains to Alan, leave it to the woman to explain to the man, that he needs to explain to Corey how important this gift is, or Corey's never going to get it. Right? Because Corey comes down, asks for his permission slip. Mom gives it to him. It's for the scuba, right? She's like, you're going to listen to your scuba instructor, and you're going to, don't hang, fool around with Sean and all this stuff. And then as Corey's walking out the door, he takes a minute and he's like, oh, hi, Dad. Yeah, thanks for the little silver mittens. They really mean a lot to me. Really. Bye. And that's when Alan's like, he's like, well, that's okay that he didn't like it. It's not like I gave it to him to get one of those Kodak moments. I feel very bad.
Aww.
I know. I felt bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when Amy's like, did you explain it to him? And he's like, no. And she's like, all right, I got to do that. So Morgan comes down.
She's back to being annoying.
But I was going to say, it's almost like the writers have heard some feedback from people being like, can she learn a freaking lesson? But then it gets undone at the end of the episode. I agree with you. But in this moment, I was like, oh, good. They're trying to teach her something. So Morgan comes down and she's like, what's on my face? And Amy's like, nothing. And Morgan's like, and what are we going to do about that?
Oh, she's so fresh.
She is so fresh. And Amy's like, Morgan. And Morgan's like, Corey present, Morgan present. Let's go. I'll act surprised. And Amy's like, Morgan, honey, remember how you're no longer a baby? And Morgan's like, I'm mommy and daddy's big girl. And Alan's like, that's right. And now that you're a big girl, it's not hard for you to understand that you don't have to get a present every time it's somebody else's birthday. And I was like, you were giving her presents every time it was someone else's birthday?
Ugh, no wonder why she's the way she is.
Exactly. You created this monster. Kids need to, there's no need to. So she cries for 2 seconds.
And then she's over it.
She's over it. Morgan's like, but you always used to give me presents on Corey and Eric's birthdays. And Amy's like, because we didn't want you to feel bad, sweetie. And Morgan's like, well, I feel bad now. And Alan's like, and then she leaves. Morgan leaves, and Amy's like, don't you cave in on me, mister. And Alan's like, oh, come on. Let me buy her love while I can still afford it. I mean, funny line, but man, you're buying your own kid's love. How about providing
she loves him?
Exactly. And also, you are literally her parents. You buy her things every day.
Yeah,
you love her by taking care of her. Oh, man. But I was happy that they were at least trying a little bit. They were like, it's time to grow up a little. And we don't need to do this all the time. So I was like, okay, we're teaching some things to Morgan. Alan is the problem. We'll find out later. So we're in the cafeteria and we just hear... And this is where we get the really uncomfortable scene where basically Corey goes, I was meant for this underwater life because I am scuba boy.
What's the deal with that?
Risk boy.
Oh, why do I keep
what was he
forgetting
last
these
episode?
References? Yeah.
What was the other one? He's been Risk boy. That's the only one I can remember right now.
Yeah, we just did that. What was it? I forget, but he does say that.
Yes, almost every episode he says it.
He's now scuba boy.
Scuba boy. And then Sean makes fun of Corey for being the whitest white boy he's ever seen, which I thought was funny. But also I was like, said the white boy. But then he acknowledges that because Sean is pretending to be buff by wearing a shirt with a buff body on it. And then he takes it off and he's like, yeah, I'm the same as you. That's why I'm wearing the shirt. And then Topanga comes over with a robe on and says it's not very evolved to ridicule the human form. Each of our bodies is the master creation of Mother Nature. And then we get a line, well, except for Minkus. And Sean's like, he was created by Mother Goose.
Mother Goose. mother goose.
It's funny because that is so accurate. Like, he really does look like a little duckling.
He does look like he was picked up by a goose and was raised by a goose with some ducklings, some gooselings. What do you call a baby goose?
With their little butts. That was a little throwback to the Aristocats for Tracy.
He definitely wore a bonnet as a baby.
He totally did. He totally was christened in like a white gown.
Yep. Like a beautiful white gown with the bonnet. Absolutely.
And then Minkus takes off his robe and he's wearing like a full wetsuit, like and it's a neon green wetsuit with long sleeves and feetsies. And he just goes, "Anybody ready for a dip?" And then Corey goes, "Minkus, you look like a stick of juicy fruit." It was the way he said it. It was so funny. And then that's when we get the where he turns to Topanga and he's like, "You wearing a wetsuit too, Mother Nature?" And Topanga goes, "No." And then she takes off her robe and then she's like, "What's the matter? No funny remarks?" And Corey's like, "You got anything?" And Sean's like, "I got nothing." And Corey's like, "You got anything?" Mm-hmm. And Sean's like, "Snap out of it. She's just a girl in a bathing suit. Insult her." And Corey like goes to do it. And then he just like turns to Sean and he's like, "No, from now on, I'm going to be insulting you." Uh-huh. What do you think about the way they handled that?
I thought that was great. Putting aside the audience, I thought there was nothing wrong with that interaction. It was very real for sixth graders, discovering their own bodies, discovering the bodies of their classmates. It's a weird thing. I remember being in that space in sixth grade where suddenly we were going to pool parties and it was like this big deal of wearing a bathing suit, and it's like, oh my God, it's it's a big deal, and you get awkward and you don't really know what to say. And I thought that the kids handled it really well.
I agree. I thought the writing was really good and smart and funny, and I had nothing wrong with the writing. I didn't really like the way that Topanga dropped the robe and had like this pose. I thought that was a little too like sexy for a young girl. Like there was just something kind of suggestive about it that rubbed me the wrong way.
I agree.
Yeah.
It did.
And it was like her hair being done the way it was. But so Sean and Corey are struggling, but then Minkus is like, "Topanga," and Topanga's like, "Yes, Stuart." And Minkus goes, "You're beautiful." And Topanga goes, "That's very sweet, Stuart. My superficial side thanks you."
I love that she acknowledges it. She's not even immune to it.
I know. And I liked that a lot because we all have that. Like, I wish we didn't. I really do wish we could live in a world where it didn't matter, and it shouldn't matter to the point where it's unhealthy or it's all you think about or care about. Yeah. But like, unfortunately, in this society where like we are social creatures and we do feel attraction for one another and we do feel attraction for some people and not other people, and we want to feel like we're attractive to other people, there is just going to naturally be this case where like we're going to try to look a certain way to attract people to us, you know? And so we care about it.
Exactly. I had this conversation with my therapist the other day because we started talking about body issues and where I struggle with that, and certain areas of my body that I fixate on. And I would say like my stomach is probably where I'm the most judgmental about myself. She was like, "Well, I want you to practice this exercise where if you're looking in the mirror and you're like noticing these things about your body and you're having these negative thoughts about your stomach, and try to like navigate away from that. And instead of like saying, ugh, like I have a really big gut, I just say, I have a stomach."
Yeah.
I'm so happy I have a stomach. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's interesting because like, that's a great thing to be sort of body neutral is great, but we do want compliments as well.
So Sean asks Corey, "Hey, what's with the necklace?" And Corey's like, "Oh, my dad gave it to me. It's one of those really important father-son gifts that you don't understand what it is." And Sean's like, "Been there." And then Sean like pulls the string on a blow-up life vest. And he's like, oh, what does this do? And it like blows up. And then Minkus comes over and he goes, have you taken leave of your senses? I'm going to use that line in the classroom.
Please.
Have you taken leave of your senses? You can endanger the safety of yourself and others. No touching the equipment until the dive master gets here. In walks Feeney. Feeney is the dive master.
Of course he is. There is one teacher in this school. He is carrying this school on his back.
It literally is like an oxygen tank. Feeney goes, yes, Mr. Matthews, Mr. Hunter, I am a certified dive master and have been for years. So then he says that they all need a buddy. And this was another weird thing. He said that they're going to do buddy breathing, which I was like, A, that's really dangerous. He says that they're both going to share. Them and their buddy are going to share a breathing apparatus. So they're going to take a breath and then give it to their partner who's going to take a breath. And then they're going to take. I was like, that's so dangerous.
Yeah.
For especially adolescents who would be assholes and would totally like be like, oh, I'm not giving it back to you. You're drowning.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so dangerous.
So dangerous. Is that even a thing?
I mean, we've done scuba lessons before, and that was definitely not a thing. We had our own that we would have to practice with, but we have full control of when it comes back into our mouth.
Yeah. Crazy. So Corey's like, did you brush your teeth this morning? And Sean's like, I'm not sure. What day is it? So we're in the bedroom, and Eric asks why Corey isn't wearing the necklace. Corey's like, what? I must have left him at the pool. No big deal. I'll buy another pair tomorrow. Alan comes in and he explains to Corey the importance of the necklace. Alan's like, they're not silver mittens. They're silver gloves. I won them for coming in second place. And Corey's like, is second place that good? There's only 2 guys in the ring. And Alan's like, not second place in one boxing match, second in my weight division in the entire United States Navy. And Alan's like, yeah, that's why I'm so proud of them. And, you know, Alan goes on to say he lost to the baddest, meanest, ugliest guy in the Navy, that he fought him in the championship fight. And Eric's giving Corey a hard time. He's like, Corey, did you hear that? The championship. Corey's like, I heard. Alan's like, it was a brutal fight. Eric's like, was there blood? And Eric's like, oh, buckets. And Eric's like, buckets. Oh, such a buster.
I know.
And Alan explains, I thought that the blood was the other guy's blood, but it was my blood. My eyeball was hanging out of my socket. Oh my God. And Corey's just like, oh my God. And Eric's like, boy, Dad, you really must have fought your heart out to win those little silver gloves. And Alan's like, yeah, so I lost a little depth perception. But to tell you the truth, Core, as good as it was to win those silver gloves, what was great was hoping that someday I'd have a son to pass them on to.
Oh.
And Eric's like, and did ya? And Alan's like, yes, I did. I thought you guys would just like to hear about it, so I'll see you at dinner. And Corey's like freaking out. So that sparks Corey. Corey now starts to retrace all his steps and try to find the gloves. He asks Eric to cover him while he leaves to go try to find them. Eric promises that he's going to lie to Amy and Alan and say that Corey is at Sean's place for dinner. While they're at dinner, Sean shows up at Corey's. And we get some good physical comedy where Eric's like, go home, like, don't come in. And Sean's like, hey, good to see you too, Eric. And they basically put on a little performance for Mom and Dad where Eric's like, Sean, Corey's at your place for dinner, right? And Sean's like, yeah. So Corey is at the pool finding the silver gloves. And this is where we get the scene I was talking about earlier where the camera's like panning the bottom of the pool. We see a key. We see a little stingray. You remember those toys?
Sort of.
Where you would like wind them up and then they'd like swim through the pool.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
What was with the Barbie doll tied to the box? Was that a reference to something?
I don't know if it was a reference. I just figured it was some like really messed up kid who like wanted to drown a Barbie and tied her to a brick.
It was dark. It was kind of dark. Yeah. It reminded me of Dexter for some reason. Because remember the like fingernail painted Barbie doll hand thing?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, it does remind me of that.
So Feeney comes over. He starts yelling at Corey. Corey never found the necklace. He comes out of the pool. Feeney's like, this has got to be one of the most half-baked ideas you've ever had. There's no lifeguard on duty. Rah, that was the first rule. Never dive by yourself. And then Corey's like, no, it was fully baked. Look, Mr. Feeney, you have to listen to me. I lost my father's silver gloves and I have to find them. Feeney's like, you're dripping on my Oxfords. Now put your clothes on and go home. Also, why is Feeney? Oh, I know why Feeney's there because why is Feeney there?
He's always there.
He's getting his canvas in the rain. And his Oxfords of all things too. Like, man, you go home.
Oxford's at the pool.
Oxford's at the pool. No street shoes on the pool deck. Guys, I'm a swim coach too, actually. Which is why this whole like them seeing their bodies thing is like not the most horrible thing to me too. I forgot to mention that earlier. Like you're talking about pool parties and seeing each other's bodies. They see each other's bodies on swim team and they got to get used to it. And I will say we had a couple of boys join the swim team and they left. And I keep having this happen where like boys will join and then they'll leave. And I feel like I don't know what it is. It's like they don't, I think maybe part of it is they don't feel comfortable being around a bunch of girls with, their bodies exposed the way that they are in the pool.
Interesting.
Yeah. I wish that I could do something about it, but unfortunately, I do think that there is kind of just like a primal human thing going on there where it's like...
You just got to let it play out.
Yeah. You got to kind of just become comfortable with your body. That's kind of a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
But I wish we were all a little more like Topanga, right?
I agree. I wish I was more like Topanga. So
Corey comes home. Amy's like, Corey, thank God you're alive. Now I'm going to kill you. Corey's like, I'm sorry, Mom. Dad, I'm sorry. I lost your silver gloves. I didn't know how important they were to you. Amy's like, Mr. Feeney just called and said you snuck into the Y and you were diving by yourself. Is that true? Corey's like, I tried to find the gloves. Alan's like, Corey, I don't care about those gloves. Corey's like, Dad, yes, you do. You know you do. Alan's like, yes, I care about them. That's why I gave them to you. And when I was young and in the Navy, they were the most important thing in the world to me. But now I don't care if I lose those silly gloves. I care if I lose you. Corey's like, maybe it's best if I never leave home. Bad things only happen when I leave. Amy's like, Alan, he's grounding himself. Don't let him take that away from us. And Corey's like, sorry, Mom, go ahead and ground away. So Alan sends him upstairs and then Feeney arrives and he found the gloves. Yay. And Corey gives him this big hug.
Oh, and Feeney
then he
was
realizes,
like rigid.
Yeah. Which reminded me of like the Feeney who received the Christmas present that Minkus organized and was just like, yes, thank you. Now, moving on. Like he couldn't handle receiving. Feeney says he found them in the filter of the pool because Corey's like, wait, how come you can go diving by yourself but not me? And Feeney's like, I didn't have to go diving, Einstein. They were in the filter. And then he looks at his parents and he's like, you see what you give me to work with? And then we get this really touching moment that was a huge like Corey's acting chops were like really on display here. I mean, they always are. Ben Savage was a savage in this scene. So Corey gives them to his dad and he says, Dad, here. And Alan says, what are you doing? I gave these to you. And Corey says, no, I don't deserve them. At least not yet. Hold on to them for me now and give them back to me on the most important day of my life. And Alan says, when will that be? And Corey says, whatever day you give them back.
My heart.
That moment was so beautiful. I can't even get over it. Because for me, I went so deep with this. Like, I was like, this writer is writing about something that happened in his life. And his dad gave him something like this that he didn't appreciate. at the time, and this is him like wishing he could go back and do things right, you know, and acknowledging now as an adult that he should have recognized that the day that his dad gave him that gift was the most important day of his life, or you know, like.
And I'm totally speculating. I'm like piggybacking off this idea that we're not sure is even true, but like reliving this moment and saying, you know, giving himself a second chance to retrieve a gift that means a lot to his dad, and like actually caring that time.
Totally. Because it's like not realistic, honestly. It's not realistic for a kid to learn a lesson so quickly and to come from a place of wisdom so fast, you know? But first of all, Corey is a special character and Ben Savage is a very special actor because you believe it. Like, you believe that this kid really is learning that lesson in 22 minutes. And you do. And that's like, honestly, props to the writers. Like, I didn't question for a minute that Corey learned that lesson and that he believed now that it was so important to his dad. Like, Corey's capacity for empathy is so beautiful. And it's all consistent. Like, it's real. He's a real person to me. And I can't get over the fact that the writers have done this in a series of 22-minute episodes in which Corey isn't even the main character all the time. Like, it's really unbelievable that they do this. And every week they put out a new episode. Like, we can barely get a podcast episode out every week on the episodes that we didn't write. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really special.
We get a button. Morgan and Alan undoes all of the parenting that they have tried to do in the 22-minute episode with Morgan. Morgan's like, you want me to lie to mommy? And Alan's like, of course not. I don't want you to lie to mommy. I just want this to be a secret between you and me. And Morgan's like, okay, what is it? And Alan's like, okay. And he takes a box out and it's a present for Morgan, even though they weren't going to get her one. Morgan opens it. It's a huge...
I gotta interrupt for a second.
Oh, please.
I gotta say that would never work on me if I was a mother. My kid, they could try to get what they want. No. I would be very strict. I would be very stern with them. It wouldn't work on me. Also, I'm a queen's mother suddenly.
A queen's mother. I know. I wouldn't be mean about it, and I don't think you would either, but I would hold my ground. I'd be like, no, you have to learn this lesson, man. Like, you can't, is not, you can't just get whatever you want whenever you want it. Like, that's going to be doing you a disservice. You're going to go into other spaces and be that entitled jerk that everybody hates. You know, I'm trying to make you a likable person. That's
You'll
my
go
gift
far
to you.
if you're likable.
Exactly. So anyway, it's a horse, a toy horse. And Morgan goes, did you win this horse when you were in the Navy? And Alan's like, no. And Morgan's like, then why is it important? And Alan's like, well, it's important because you wanted it. And I went to the store and I bought it for you with my money. And Morgan's like, did you win this horse when you were in the Navy? Which was typical. Like, I was like, yeah, a toddler would just like re-ask the question. And Alan was like, yes, I did. that was the end of the episode. She gave him a kiss on the cheek.
Cute.
What were your takeaways?
I mean, my takeaway now is the same as yours. I think that's a beautiful way to look at this, and a reminder of like the good old days of television where it was generally a simple story, right? Boy meets world. That's a simple idea.
Yeah.
And there's not too much to it, but the arcs that we consistently see are very fulfilling to watch. And we have takeaways on this podcast because we take away from every episode. And I think that this is a reminder of that, and that's beautiful.
Yeah. I thought it was sweet too that Alan was like, I don't care about those gloves. Like, I care about you. Like, don't put yourself in danger. You know, I saw this as a as a continuation of the last episode, The Fugitive, in the sense that, like, you know, Corey's dad told Corey, like, I would want you to come home if you did anything wrong. Like, I wouldn't want you to, like, Sean left, right? And I would want you, if you ever got into this place, I want you to come home. And, like, Corey didn't get in trouble, but he was trying not to get in trouble, or he was trying to do the right thing, and he left and he didn't come home, and he didn't, like, this was a chance for us to see that it's true that that Alan wasn't just saying it. Like, he really would want Corey to come home over anything. Like, his safety is the number one priority. So I like that it was connected to the past episode in that way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, my takeaway is definitely, like, more about the nature of, like, writing and the power of the simplicity of storytelling and the power, the power of storytelling, and the fact that storytelling doesn't have to be elaborate and complex and, you know, have, like, 200 people working as a cast on this, like, multi-million-dollar project in order for people to, like, feel something. Like, at the end of the day, the basic ingredients of a story that, like, sticks with people are just, like, we want to feel like a character has not only learned something for themselves, but they've, like, provided us with an opportunity to, like, reevaluate our lives and reconnect with the importance of what makes our lives fulfilling, of the things that make our lives fulfilling. So in this case, like, I thought about generational love and, like, the importance of passing things down, and, like, the importance of recognizing the things that are important to our loved ones, and then, like, holding on to them. And, like, even if in the moment it doesn't mean much to you, like, holding on to it until you've reached a point in your life where you now understand why that person gave it to you in the first place. I said at the beginning of this podcast, like, I don't think, like, yes, this is a show for kids, but I also feel like it's so much a show for adults. Like, and that's why when I rewatched the show as an adult, my mind was blown so many times that I was like, wait, I need to make a podcast about this, because I have so many things to say. Because, like, now as an adult, you get what the writers were trying to do, but you couldn't have gotten it as a kid because you just didn't have the life experience to understand it yet, you know? Last thoughts, final words. Fashion moment. Did you have one?
Minkus in his suit.
Yeah, no, we have the same fashion moment. Same. We look like a piece of juicy fruit.
It's a little juicy fruit. Maybe one juicy fruit.
Mother goose.
Wait. That's so funny that he said juicy fruit, right?
Yeah.
That was the description of this wine. It says, full-bodied and bursting with juicy fruit. It has strong tannins and structure. Wow, we really know how to pick the wines. Incredible.
Well, that's it for the episode. Thanks so much for listening, guys. If you like what you heard, rate and review us 5 stars. Follow us at Boy Meets Wine Podcast. The name of the wine we had today was Decoy Cabernet Sauvignon. Theme song credit goes to Julia Rosa. And next week's episode is called The Play's the Thing, which I love as an English teacher because it is a reference to something. Do you know what it is?
I don't.
What if I said, the play is the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king?
That sounds very familiar, but I don't know where it's from.
What if I said, Hamlet?
Then I would say, I read that play. Woo! I finally read one!
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.